The one suffering from exhaustion. Life beating you down, so you still playing cautious. I need you to search deep inside of your conscience. Unleash whatever monsters are keeping you from your progress. I know that you gon' find a way. Never give up. Tomorrow could be the brightest day. Follow the light, and I promise you gon' find a way. I know that you gon' find your way.
Enjoy it. Like I just literally just, yeah, it's fun.
No, dude, like I'm really grateful because like normally like when I try to talk, to certain people about certain things, it's really difficult to like have these kinds of conversations with anybody because everybody's just kind of stuck in like, okay, what the fuck are you saying to me? Like why are you so deep right now?
Right. Right.
You're getting personal and I'm scared.
Right. Why are you making me use my brain?
Right. It's like, come on, honey, you're good. You're smart.
I don't want to use my brain.
Yeah, exactly. Right? It's so rough for people to understand that, but it's whatever. I get some people don't have the capability of doing that, and I'm not trying to push it, but I like to have these kinds of conversations. They're fun.
Right. Like sometimes when you talk to people, like sometimes it's kind of fun just to see how far you can like push people's boundaries because it's interesting to see just how small their boundaries are. It's like, wow,
right.
Like you can't go beyond this. And we're not even that far. You know what I mean?
It is.
Yeah.
It's so crazy how much people can handle and how much people can't. It just astonishes me. But it's sad, but I mean, I can't really say it's sad, but I mean, it kind of is. Because these are the questions that I feel are necessary for life, or these are the conversations I feel are necessary for life. These are like, I guess, in my way of thinking, it's like the meaning of life, or like be trying to understand life,
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Like we're living life. Why not try to understand it? Like it will be better in the long run if you understand it, because you can make life easier.
Yeah. Like, why make it difficult for yourself? I mean, like, yeah. I know that I was stuck in this like way of thinking for so long, like just stubborn, like one track mindset kind of thing. But at the same time, like I still had these questions, but I didn't allow myself to like think of them because I was scared to approach them, or I was scared to face them, I guess.
Right. Yeah. So like in this, and we'll kind of start flowing in the conversation here in a minute. So like in this, like I know when like, because I would do it myself. So doing this, I kind of like learned to like not do it. But, speak in like general broad terms. I mean, you can specifically use names and stuff, whatever, but like people are listening to this. So like in the back of your head, if you don't want to like specifically call something out or call someone out, I tend to use like, the words like people and, society and humans, right?
Yeah, definitely.
But you can, I mean, you can say whatever you want to say. Like, there's no limiting of anything. I'm just saying, like, I don't edit this at all. Like, I only do like the beginning and the end, but everything in the middle is just what it is,
Yeah, no worries. I used to do like video work as well, but talk about people and stuff and things. So I try not to like incriminate anybody or
right. But
so
sometimes it's just there though. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's just there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sometimes maybe people needed to call on their bullshit, but
right, fuck them. I'm just kidding.
I agree.
Like you bully.
Bully.
I'm just kidding.
Bully. Yeah, like I think like bullying, very interesting. So when we were talking about that the other day, it was very interesting because it almost starts at like a young age. Like bullies, that's a taught behavior, like you see little kids kind of like playing and doing whatever. Yeah, they will like take toys from each other and they will whatever, but they're learning how to have social skills. So they're not really understanding, like, I just can't take this. I have to, like, do it in a less aggressive manner. And over time and experience, they will figure that out. But when you have, um, you know, non-children bullying, as in like teens, even into adulthood, you know, that's like top behavior that they are okay with, or they don't realize they're doing it, but they kind of know they're doing it because they're doing it in a way that satisfies them in a certain way. I
It's
don't know
like
how
almost
complicated
like
that sounds,
they
but
no, it's almost like it's basically like a defense mechanism.
yeah, right. Like, hurt people.
Right, right. Like you're not
Um,
going to get to me first. I'm going to get to you, and I'm going to do it in the worst ways to where you can. You hurt me back.
right, right. Like um, it's like attacking. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Like we were saying, attacking in a way where, they're trying to throw the knockout blow because they're afraid of getting hit at all. And it's like,
Yeah,
damn, like that's crazy how, um, and we see the repercussions of it. We see the violence that comes out of it. The school shootings. We live here in Colorado, and that was like the Columbine. That was like one of the first school shootings.
right.
Um, massively in the nation. Where I'm from. So when I was a kid in Butte, Montana, when I was a kid, I was probably, I think I was in first grade. And at another school, at another grade school, that I have friends to this day that went to the school at this time. Um, so there was these twins, and I think they were older though. I think they were like in sixth grade or fifth grade or something, and they were bullying this kid. Well, no. One was bullying the kid. The other one wasn't. Over, I don't know, the petty things that kids bully or other kids over. Side note on that is kids bully other kids over adult issues, right? It's always over financial, which you're a kid, you have no financials, you have no way of making money.
Right.
Whatever your income is what your parents do, right? Which has nothing to do with you.
No.
So that goes to, like, what you're wearing, what you have, as in like possession wise, what you can do, like, do you have enough money to go hang out at the mall all day? Do you have enough, you know what I mean?
Hmm.
Kind of where you live, which has nothing to do with you either. Like, you live with your parents. Like, you, you have no choice on what house you're living in or what neighborhood you're in or part of the city or whatever. Um, you know, even like down to, like, how you dress or whatever, like, you have no say over that. You can't, like, buy your own clothes because you don't make your own money, right? You're kind of up to whatever your parents are, right?
Yes.
So kids always bully each other over, like, adult problems, which is kind of interesting because it's just like, let kids be kids. Why do adult things influence? But they have to learn it from somewhere, which, to me, they learn it from the adults, you know? Uh,
It's kind of
but,
like that nature versus nurture, 100%. I
ooh, there
mean,
you go. Right.
it's completely like the kids, back in the day, like where you had your like way back in the day, like where you had your family and your family crest and your family name, and you lived by your family, like either you were royal or you weren't or whatever, and you were either a peasant or not peasant. And it was kind of like, that's kind of where it started from. Like, if you had money, you had something. If you didn't, then
Yeah.
you didn't. You have nothing. And for that, you had to work for everything you had. And people don't see the work as, progress. They don't see that. And your parents are struggling, and that's all the kids see. Like, to this day, like, that's all kids see. And the stress that comes from that family. Like,
Mm-hmm.
some people can't help, but I mean, some people, like you could break a condom and have a child. Like that kid has no say in the matter. So you grow up with like these parents who are stressed out just trying to make a good life for you, but these kids only see, the parents that are like, oh, I have all this money. Like, yes, my child, if you want a t-shirt, I will give you a t-shirt, or a $500 t-shirt, because you are my child and I love you, kind of thing. It's
Right.
like not everybody
Right.
has that privilege.
Right. And it's like interesting how because parents always want to give their child the life they never had, but what you're doing is, like the reason why you are the way you are, now you're like out fending for yourself, and you have put yourself through these battles, and you have, your confidence in yourself and whatever, because you come from an environment that required that of you. But when you're giving your child, the life that quote unquote you never had, you got to be careful, because it's very easy to teach a child entitlement, and that is a dangerous thing to teach a human, and for a human to break that habit of, right? Thinking that the world owes you everything because that's how you were raised. And it's like the real world, it doesn't care. Like it will chew you up and spit you out regardless of your background. Like, coming up with that hard work ethic is something that money can't buy, or money can't teach you. Like that's just something that you have to live through. You have to go through that experience. It builds character. It builds a thick skin. It builds confidence in you. It builds so much like invaluable properties that money can never, like if you had like $1 billion and you wanted to build a person from the ground up, money can never teach them that. You would have to the only thing that teaches them like work ethic and having a thick skin and confidence, those are all experiences that they just got to get put into, and most of the time those experiences are free. Those are just experiences. Like you can't buy talent, you can't buy, you know what I mean? Yeah. So it's very interesting to see how parents kind of influence that, and they kind of, me personally, I think they do it incorrectly. I think that they kind of like raise these little monsters and then set them free in the world, and it's like that is irresponsible as a parent.
Well, you know what? It's also not just that. It's also the fact that they grow like these kids who have nothing, literally nothing. They're literally projecting their own, household problems onto other kids because that's all they learn. Kind of like when a child gets beat when they're younger by their dad or their mom or whatever, or verbally abused. That's all that they see. So when they go to they have all this anger built up inside. So that when when somebody comes up and either, they don't like the way that they walk, or like they don't like the way that they approach them, or, they're just constantly angry and vicious and just thinking about all the horrible things that have been done to them, are like how, like, why was I like this and that? They project that onto everybody else around them because, they're angry inside and they don't know the emotions that are happening on within them. So it's not necessarily just those parents that, are rich and spoil their children, want to give them the lives that they never had. And, parenting is very complicated. I've never been a parent, but I can see it's very complicated. And, like
we deal with the results every day. Like
exactly.
You know what I mean?
100%. Like I have personally, I have a dad that's, was hard on me as a child, but I took that, and yes, I was angry as a kid, but I also took that and I morphed it into something that, try to understand it versus try to bash on it shut it down. You know, as hard as that is to do, I want to understand that not everybody can do that, you know, and I mean, people are stuck in their own anger. And I feel like the anger is the thing that really gets everybody the most. It really controls
Mm-hmm.
people. That is the one emotion that controls a lot of people. And especially kids being so influenced by the people that they grow up with or they're surrounded by. Somebody trying to show, you know, a bully kindness. It's just like, yeah, screw you. Like, I'm going to punch you now.
Yeah, right,
I don't
right,
know, not
right.
necessarily to that extreme, but it's not easy. It really isn't. Like a lot of emotions, like I feel like, do you think psychopaths have this issue being not emotional? I guess that's veering
Right.
off to a whole new subject, but
No, 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 no. Like, uh, it's interesting to see how the environment you grew up in, that is your cycle, right? That is what you're familiar with. And then, you know, it's very easy to just continue that cycle. So regardless of what the environment is, like that, as a child, that kind of becomes foundations. And like when you start to build yourself, if you're building yourself on some shit foundation, like like it's bound to affect the product above it. And to go back and to kind of maybe fix those things is very difficult because you have to literally tear down everything that you just built, go back to your
right,
foundations, rebuild that correctly now, because now you're older, more experienced, more information. Now you have to rebuild those foundations and work from the ground up again. But a lot of people, that's work, and a lot of people don't like that, right? Like,
right.
so they will just, you know, what's that term? Like, it's a polished turd. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They That's how they just like navigate their life now, and like those foundations will wreck things through their lives, and sometimes people don't even realize that they're doing it, right? Relationships happen all the time. Like, you get involved with someone, and whatever issue you had, you know, maybe 4 relationships ago, you just drag that through all of your relationships now. So it's like people don't deal with their stuff, and it kind of like, um,
Manifest.
yeah, yeah, through everything that you are now trying to create. And and a lot of people are like, why does this keep happening to me? And it's so easy to fall into that victim mode now, rather
Exactly.
than thinking like, what is wrong with me, right? Because everything's your fault. What is wrong with me? But instead it's like, well, it's this fault, and it's this fault, it's this, it's this, it's this, and it's like, well, actually, you're an adult now, so now it's your fault. Like, you can blame it on whatever past whatever, but
Right.
right now in the present, you're choosing to let it affect you. Like,
Right.
yeah, like, and it, especially in children. I mean, you probably see a lot of bullying in adulthood, but a lot of adults also get to the point where they're like, I am not dealing with your bullshit today.
Right. Like
Like,
they're drained. Like
like,
I've been through this
yeah,
one too many
yeah, right,
times. I'm
right,
over
right, right.
you.
Right, right. And as adults, we can kind of control our environments a little bit more. Like, we can leave situations, we can choose not to go into certain situations, we can whatever. But as a kid, you know, you kind of have to go to that class every day. You kind of have to go to that school every day. Like, like you can't really change it. It's more difficult to change it, right?
Right.
So you have, uh, you know, these kids that get stuck in these situations, and now they got to like figure out how to navigate themselves, you know, out of it or better through it. And on top of everything else children go through, you know, it's a lot to handle, and like, you know, when they're looking for answers, you know, well, they might look to their parents for answers, but you know, how do you teach someone something you don't know? So if you're looking to your parents for answers, which a lot of children do, right? They're like, hey, that's my parent. They have the answers for me. Um, you know, but you know, they can't even figure themselves out. So how are they going to teach their child to navigate it correctly when they can't even do it
Right. And even
themselves?
like, and even, okay, so going back to a personal note, like growing up and like, I felt like I was like, I had my parents there and I'm very grateful. I'm very grateful for them. I would never, ever discount anything that they had done for me. But there were times, where my parents were dealing with a lot of mental stuff and like us as children, like had to do, like me and my siblings had to do things on our own and like had to figure things out on our own because it was just, my parents could not mentally like be there for us and totally understandable. It was just, it made it really difficult. So like me and my sister going to high school, like she kept getting bullied, this and that. Like people kept yelling at her, calling her names. And like I would go talk to those people and I'd be like, dude, like leave my sister alone, kind of thing, whatever. But when
Mm-hmm.
I had that situation happen to me, I just kind of was like, I would walk through school. I would dread going to school. It would suck. And I would have to learn how to deal with it. Like, even like, there's a lot of kids out there that don't necessarily have the parents there mentally for them who are unable to like give them a good answer or a reasonable answer for the situation at hand. Sometimes those parents may be dealing with a bunch of hardships themselves and they'll just be like, you know what?
Right.
Like either if they hit you, hit them back kind of thing, or like, or, like if, I just don't know how to handle that situation right now. Like, and, deal with it yourself or whatever it may be. It just makes it very difficult. So you have to kind of, in a sense, find yourself on how you reasonably would like to fix that situation. Like I ended up just being super silent in school and just like walking around, minding my own business. I knew I wouldn't get along with this person, this person, this person, this person, this person, all these people. And I just kind of made my own little clan with myself. And like I
Right.
just walked through school all by myself because, those things are really, really difficult. Like to try to find yourself as a kid so early on without your parents' help and without having an older sibling to help you out with anything like that, or they didn't even know what answers to give you, or like you would find it somewhere
Mm-hmm.
else, like in a teacher. The teacher had like so many other students that they had to deal with, and there's just so many factors involved, and essentially it all just comes down to you and yourself. And
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm kind of proud that I had done that for myself, but not a lot of people, not a lot of kids have that, like mindset to do so. Like they grew up in a different way. They have a different brain. They have a different way of thinking.
Mm-hmm.
And it's hard.
Yeah, like you know, and it's sad, but a lot of people, you know, that's where you get the suicide from. You
Right.
know, because they ran out of answers, because the places that they thought the answers would be are not there, and
Right.
now it's like, what do you do? You know, and these humans at 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 that stage of existence, like, you know, they're very limited to the experience that they're exposed to. So it's like they literally ran out of the answers because they didn't know how to, you know, jump on a different path or expand their information scope.
They didn't have the
So
resources for that. Right.
yeah, right, right. And the ones that they thought should have the answers didn't have the answers themselves.
Right.
And a lot of kids understand their parents more than the parents think that they know they understand them,
Yeah.
because kids are very observant, right? I think kids learn more indirectly than they do directly. So you can like tell your child all day long to, you know, I don't know, uh, wash the dish before you put it in the dishwasher. You can tell them all day long. But if they watch you put dirty dishes in the sink, that's what they're going to do.
Exactly.
Because they're learning off observation more than, you know, and, you know, parents will come at them with the, well, do as I say and not as I do. But that's a weird thing to you know what I mean? Like, so we do it in the adult life, right? In the work environment, if your boss comes up and tells you to do something and then you watch your boss do the exact opposite, you're going to be like, motherfucker.
Oh
You
my
know?
God, I literally am having that same issue right now at work. You have no idea. It's
Yeah,
that
it's
hypocriticalness, and it's just like it
yeah,
makes
right,
me not want
right.
to work here because you yell at me or write me up or yell or do something. Like, I mean, I have not gotten written up. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying, for an example, like you write me up
Right.
for something that you say that shouldn't be done, but then you go and do it behind our backs or right in
Yeah.
front of us for that matter. And it's just like, what am I supposed to do?
Yeah, right. You see it all the time. It doesn't make any sense. And
Right.
it's just like um uh you know, people like to be in control. So they will like do that because um you know, they don't have any direct consequences. Um and yeah, like it's just interesting to see when people when I watch people do that, it's like, oh, okay, I know you're full of shit now, so I'm gonna take whatever you tell me with a grain of salt because I
Exactly.
know that you are being silly right now and you don't know what you're doing, you know. Um,
Yeah.
and and uh, yeah, yeah, parents are. I've been told this before where it's like, well, you're not a parent, so you don't know. But it's like, well, technically, yes, I don't have any children. I'm not a parent, but I deal with the results and the byproduct of bad parenting all the time because I deal with adults every day.
Right.
And and a lot of adults that I encounter throughout my day, whatever, just randomly, right? It doesn't have to be the people that I actually know. It could be like going to the store and you know, interacting with whatever. And it's like your parents sucked. You know what I mean? Your
Right.
parents your parents did the best they could and it shows. You know,
Right.
like um uh but then also like, you know, that responsibility is now on you. Like so in a group of friends or in a group of people, when you have a bunch of yes men around you or a bunch of yes people around you that always agree with what you're saying and create that weird echo chamber within your environment,
Yeah.
that's highly toxic
Very.
because now you think that you are, you know, what you're doing is correct and that will become a habit and now you will just continue on doing that in whatever other environment you go into, but that's not always okay. like like but people love surrounding themselves with those type of people, right? Whereas, you know, when you have like you know, say you have a friend that is constantly questioning your decisions, and then you're like, oh, why are you always like, you know, on me with things? I thought we were friends. I thought we were whatever. Those are actually probably your most truest and genuine friends because
Hmm.
they're like calling you out on your bullshit that they're seeing. Like, so instead of being like, you know, angry with them or resistant with them, you should be like, why do you see that with me? Okay, because I don't see it with myself. You know, I am curious to see that, and then, you know, work and try to fix it. With
Exactly.
the bullying thing, you know, when you have a group of people bullying a person, probably not all those people in that group agree with it, but they're just going with it.
Because they
And
want
it,
to feel involved. They want to feel
right,
special. They
right,
want to feel important. They feel like this person is
right.
important for some odd reason.
They would rather be, well, if I don't say anything, then, you know, I don't have to be that person that is
Hmm.
getting bullied, you know.
That's
uh
true.
and it's just like, that is crazy that you don't agree with something, but instead of saying something, you would rather save your own skin and stay within that echo chamber and not speak your mind on what you think is being, kind of, it's like a fucked up situation, and you're like, this isn't
Right.
cool, but you know, like, it's just easier to just stay in the group that you're in, because you see that all the time too, right? Like where it's just like groups bullying,
My
you
God, all
know,
the time.
strength in numbers type thing, or
Even in
whatever.
adults, not just,
Even
yeah.
yeah,
Like, I'm like,
yeah,
why?
even in adults, right?
And I mean, I get it.
Um,
Like, I ask why, but like, I already know. And it's like, right. Like, and I mean, I even had a friend who did that. And like, there was a point where I was just like, dude, like, why do you do this? Like, I asked, I was like, you don't like, I'm like, you're a good person. Like, I'm being straight with you. Like, there's no need for you to be like this. Like, you don't need to follow people like this because these people are the type of people that are just going to get you into trouble, who are just going to cause problems for everybody else and who hurt other people in the process. And I was like, you wouldn't like that to be done to you, would you? And like, they were like literally just had every excuse in the book, and it just made no sense. Like, I understand that you want to follow these people because you would rather not be hurt because you were hurt in the past. But at the same time, you are also putting that same hurt that you wouldn't want onto somebody else.
mhm,
Be
mhm.
your own person.
Yeah, yeah. It's a lot easier to pass the buck. Way easier.
Right.
Um, yeah. So like, going back to, because I just remembered that I didn't finish this.
Oh,
Like
sorry.
going back to, no. It's me. I spaced it. So, uh, the bullies. Uh, so where I grew up, Butte, Montana, they had, the twins. One was bullying a kid, and the other one wasn't. Well, that kid went home one day and got his dad's gun or something, and came to school, and he shot the wrong twin. Shot and killed the wrong twin. Yeah, like as they were standing in line to go into class, he shot and killed the other twin that wasn't bullying him, but they kind of looked alike, right? They're
Right.
twins.
Right.
Shot and killed the wrong twin. Could you imagine what the other twin feels right now, because he's still alive?
Holy cow.
Imagine how he feels, like knowing that because of his actions, he got his brother killed that wasn't doing anything. Like,
Has the brother said
craziness.
anything? Like, does he feel shame? Like, has he said anything like that? Like he does?
I haven't seen anything I mean, I'm sure he's come out with some public statements or whatever. But that happened. I'm 33 now, so I was probably, how old are you when you were in first grade? Like
Oh my God.
6 or
Yeah,
whatever.
around there. Yes,
So
yeah.
that was years ago. So that dude's probably like in his 40s right now. Like just wildness though. It's fucking,
Okay, but think about it
um
this way. Obviously, it's wrong to just murder somebody out of the blue just because they were
for sure,
bullying you.
for sure.
Think
Right.
about that. I mean, obviously, yes, that kid was feeling so much pain that he felt the need to do that. But what was his lifestyle like that caused him the need to just grab a gun and just shoot
Right.
somebody?
To feel that that's okay.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And the fact
Right.
that his
Right.
dad had his gun just laying around
Laying
open
around,
for him just to
having
grab,
access to it.
you
Yep.
know?
Yep. No, 100%. 100%. It's, uh the we don't understand that, you know, our laziness is very dangerous, right? So like you're saying, on both sides, right? Well, what made it okay for that kid to, in his mind be like, well, I'm going to grab a gun and shoot this kid? the laziness of the parents not,
To
you
lock it
know,
up in a safe or something.
to lock the gun up in the safe, and also to not, a lot of times with bullying and stuff, you should know what your kid's going through. You should be involved with your child enough to understand when their attitude and demeanor changes, right? You should be so, you should be more. And this was like prior to phones and technology. So, I mean, right now people are on their phones and they don't really pay attention to their kids that much. I get it. It's what it is.
Mm-hmm.
Like, like, like these things are addicting as fuck.
Yeah.
But so even like back then, like you should understand. Also, you should like instill the foundations in your child that petty stuff, as in like what clothes you're wearing, where you grew up, blah blah blah, whatever kids can tease each other about doesn't affect them, right? uh so there's some lazy parts there also in the other side, with the kid bullying the other kid. Laziness in the parents, right? you know you know what did you do to teach your child that it's okay to bully some other kid this way?
They honestly,
Because of something that they don't have, or that is different about them.
yeah,
So all of it kind of just falls onto the parents. You know what I mean? Like I'm not saying 100%,
right.
but I'm saying like a good portion of like child bullying falls on the parents,
Definitely,
because
because
it's like,
again, nature versus nurture,
yeah,
Mostly, especially being like a high school kid, like, oh, wow, I guess starting out like a middle school kid. That's mostly, I feel like, where some of the major bullying starts. That could be, like your surroundings, what you're surrounded by, the kids you're influenced by. But mostly you grew up for the first, 12 years with your parents. Like that's mostly where you're going to get everything.
mm-hmm.
And the environment that you're around, like people in bad neighborhoods, like they see a lot of violence every day. But even still, like those kids grow up to try to be better than that because they know it's wrong. They see that it's wrong. So it's mostly
Right.
the fact that their parents don't involve themselves in the emotional factor of their child. And I feel like that's where the problem lies, is a lack of emotional interest, I guess you could say. It's more so,
Yeah.
I'm going to raise this child to be, like strong and knowledgeable and knows how to handle a gun, this and whatever it may be. And they don't actually teach their kids emotionally that side of things, that hey, it's wrong to do this. Hey, don't point a gun at somebody's face, or anywhere in their body. Like that was like one of the first things my dad taught me and my grandma taught me. She told me this one thing. She was like, we were playing with Nerf guns one time, and she was like, don't you ever face that gun towards anybody in this entire planet, because the devil can go right through it and shoot a real bullet out of it. And I was like, oh my God, Grandma. But that honestly scared me to the point where I'm like, I don't point guns at anybody, and my dad being in the army, like he told me, never do that. That's not right. It's not okay.
Right. Isn't it interesting too how like toy guns are just a staple of American culture?
It's
like
so crazy.
Like my nephews have Nerf guns. I had guns when I was little. Like,
yeah.
And it's just like, teaching, even as we come like into adults and stuff, like you were just mentioning, and I kind of went like a little squirrel on that, but like you were mentioning like poor neighborhoods, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, within those poor neighborhoods, because of how we are, survival instincts, right?
Right.
Strength in numbers. You don't want to be on the outside of the herd because that is more likely to get picked off by predators. So you want to work your way to the middle of the herd, right? Um, whereas, so like in poor neighborhoods, like, that's kind of how like gangs and stuff get started. Is is like, you need to choose a side. You need to pick this side or this side so you can be protected or whatever. Not necessarily because you agree with what they're doing, but it's for your own survival instinct, right? It's for your own best interest that, well, I could just not join either and then get, assaulted by both, or I can join one and that one will protect me from that one so I won't get assaulted. But, you know, but that comes with a price, and that price is whatever, illegal activity. You gotta like initiate, earn your way in. You gotta do these crazy things, right? You gotta jump through these crazy hoops for your basic survival needs, right?
Right.
So I can see how like these kids get like recruited into these gangs at a young age,
They just want to feel
because of
protected.
bullying.
They just want to
Yeah,
feel
yeah,
protected.
bullying.
Yeah.
Yeah, right, right. It's like, it's the craziest thing. It's like, to stop it, you just, we all just got to be better humans. We all just got to be better. Uh, every day, just be better than you were yesterday, regardless of what that is. And it never ends. I think when we become adults, and like, especially like when we become parents, or, because we put ourselves on this weird like life timeline of like, well, school, career, kids, house, job, blah blah blah, and that's kind of how we like tally up how our life's going. And I think when we get to a certain spot, we think that we're done learning because we've accomplished the goals that were placed upon us by society, right?
Right.
We have a house, we have a wife, we have kids, and we have a career. So I'm good. I don't have to learn anything more in life. And it's like, you have a lot more to learn in life because you stopped learning once you had that kid. When you have a kid, you kind of like put yourself on hold for a minute, because now all of your needs go to the wayside and your child is everything.
Right.
But say like when you have a kid, if you're 18 years old, then you have like stopped your growth at 18 years old. Now yes, that, having a child will put you to the test, and will test a lot of your patience and a lot of your time management and a lot of your, you know whatever. But, at that point, like, you are learning it as you're going through it. So it's like, for it to really stick, sometimes, you just autopilot because you're just trying to get through the day.
Right.
Opposed to if had a kid at say 40, well, you were able to put yourself first all those years, and now you understand a little bit more. So now when you have a kid, you can teach them maybe better foundations.
So are you saying it is better to have a kid way later, or later, like 30 and on at least? So at least to
Yeah.
get some kind of foundation for, you know, like a balance in life and a balance in understanding.
So I have this theory of, so I was raised by my grandparents,
Yeah.
since I was 2 months old.
Yeah.
And when I was younger, I didn't appreciate it as much as I do now,
Yeah.
right? So when I was younger, raised by my grandparents, like, obviously you know, seeing my friends with parents, me not having either my mom or dad, was like, that created weird issues in me, right? Like
Right.
abandonment issues, trust issues, intimacy issues, you know, love it, all these weird little things in me. And it took me a while to kind of break myself down and build myself back up, right?
Yeah.
But what I appreciate from my grandparents is that they were already over their bullshit, right? I don't think my grandparents were the best of parents to my mom and my uncles and stuff, but with me, um they had like another chance at it,
Right.
right? And they were already past their bullshit. Like they weren't working, so they didn't have the rat race to deal with. They were already over their bullshits and whatever. I mean, they still had bullshit, whatever, but like, for the most part. So when they raised me, they were able to put more time, energy, and focus on me, right? Which, which a lot of what they instilled in me, I didn't understand that I had until I got older, you know. Now, and they have both passed like years ago, whatever. But now this day, I thank them all the time for instilling these values in me that are that I think are really important.
Yeah.
Like and so I think the only way that they were able to do that was because they were older. You know, um, Now I'm not saying have kids when you're 50 or 60 or whatever.
No,
I'm not.
yeah.
I mean, you can do what you want, right?
Right.
People do things all the time, but what I'm saying is like this like young pregnancy. Like when I watch Teen Mom
Oh my God.
and and all that's doing is it's promoting early teen pregnancy,
Yeah.
and it's like because like now like you watch on social media, you have it's not cool to have a child at 17, right?
Right.
My mom had me when she was 17, 17 or 18, and she wasn't ready to be a mom. Now, the thing that I did with my mom was, you know, a lot of times it would be resentment, right? Right now, technically, statistically, I should hate my mom
Right.
and blame her for every unsuccessful part of my life, right?
Mm-hmm.
Every time I quote unquote fail at something, I should be blaming my mom and I should be blaming my dad, right? But that's that victim, and that's that victimhood, right?
Right.
It doesn't get you anywhere.
No.
So my mom, she did the best thing she could for me, right? She understood that she wasn't ready to be a mom, and that that whatever situation that she was going to put us in, or that she was in, wasn't the best. So she did what she thought would be the most correct thing, or the best thing, which would be you know bringing me to my grandparents, right?
At least she kept you
And
with family.
right, kept me with my family, right, and like you know uh uh my grandparents did the best they could for me, right?
Right.
Obviously they didn't have all the answers, whatever, but so I really appreciate and thank my mom for that, when I should be being like, I hate you for everything you did, you know what I mean?
Right.
But that's like not productive for anybody. you
Yeah.
know it happened, you can't change it. Like, it's what it is. um and so being raised by my grandparents, I think that that gave me a better head, or a better, like, it gave me a better understanding of life, you know um and to this day, me and my mom have a good relationship. Me and my dad are starting to have a relationship. I just met him like a year and a half ago, whatever,
Wow.
and so we're starting to have a good relationship. And like I don't resent or blame either of them for anything. Like, they you know, I didn't know what they were going through at the time. Like, it had nothing really to do with me. I mean, technically it did because I was their child, but
Right.
you know, they had their own lives going. Like, like it's what it is. It worked out in the end.
Right.
Maybe this story is just one of the few fortunate ones. I don't know. Like, maybe I got lucky. Who knows?
Yeah.
But I'm not like bitter or anything about it. And I think a lot of people are bitter about stuff like that.
I mean, I know that I was for the longest time. And I was bitter about, like my dad, how he treated us. And then for the longest time, he wasn't there. And then I walked away from him. And then I was bitter about my, mom, giving up on us, I guess, because she just got in this huge depression mode. And it like completely took away from everything that she was as a mom to me, or how she used to be. Because I used to refer back to it a lot about, my mom used to be like, she used to be on top of it. She used to get us to school on time. She used to put us to bed on time. She used to make us lunch. She used to do this. She used to do that. And it ended up that she stopped doing all that and then started drinking, started, being depressed, started, falling off of her horse. And even though it was like through all of that, through every single hardship of that, I was still there for my mom. I was still like, Mama, it's okay. Like I would tell her, I'd be like, I mean, maybe you shouldn't treat us like this, but like, I'm here for you. I understand that you're going through a lot of depression, and like, it's hard to move forward from that. But I mean, part of me did hate, part of me was angry because I still wanted to parent. Like, I'm the second child. There was my older brother, and then there's me, and then there's, my younger siblings. And it's just like, I mean, obviously we had to do things for ourselves, but I'm honestly grateful that kind of happened, because now I have, an independence about myself, like a strong independence. But still, it's kind of sad because like I used to want to like just be able to go to my mom and like lay my head on her lap and just like have her tell me everything's going to be okay. But I wasn't able to do that at the time. I didn't necessarily blame my mom, but I was really sad. I was really upset. And like before I had blamed her, but I mean, in the end, I had to understand, like, in order to move on from it, I had to understand, like, it can't happen that way. You can't always get what you want. But in the end, you can try to make things better in the long run for the relationship that you guys have. And hopefully, like, my siblings can also understand that as well. Because I know, like, my younger sibling has a lot of hate and all that stuff. So I need to help her understand that. And my other sister is the same way. Like, she's got a lot of hate and like a lot of like that emotional anger built up that causes huge gaps between relationships in our family. And I know that's so hard for people to try to move forward from that. And I bet in your situation, it was really hard for you to get over that as well, or even try to understand that. But I mean, in the end, you did, which is amazing. And that's great. And I really do hope other people can do that in the long run as well, because it is something hard. It's a hard leap to get over.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like, swallowing your own shit pill is the hardest thing that you will ever do, right? And the crazy thing is, like, we all have shit, all of us,
right?
We all like it's almost a essential key to creating a decent human being is that we have to face some adversity and go through some struggle and, get punched in the face, right? Life has to punch us in the face for us to like pay attention, for us to keep paying attention. And I think it's kind of, irresponsible of a person to go through life, sheltered all the time, because you're not, one of the things that I do is, that I've been doing for, I don't know, the past couple of years, whatever, is, mastering self, or like like essentially trying to understand myself fully, right? So I am constantly putting myself in uncomfortable situations all the time, right?
Hmm.
And they vary from levels of degree. You know, not all the time are they, you know, e- you know, extreme or whatever. But like, for example, one of, you know, something super small, uncomfortable that you can put yourself through that is in a controlled environment is brush your teeth with the opposite hand.
Huh.
The worst extreme that could ever happen is that you somehow wildly go to town on your teeth and that toothbrush goes into your eyeball and somehow you kill yourself. That's like that's like the most ridiculous, like one side of the spectrum that could ever happen.
Yeah.
What will probably happen is that you are going to realize that this is taking forever, and all you have to do is just switch hands and then go on your way. But the next day you do it, you'll get a little faster at it. You'll get a little faster at it, a little faster at it. And then all of a sudden, brushing your teeth with the opposite hand isn't that uncomfortable. You know what I mean?
Right.
So take that and do it in all aspects of your life, right? Always challenge yourself now, and you don't always have to go to the extreme to where you're gonna like lose everything and like life's gonna be crumbling down on you. Pick and choose your battles.
Right.
Sometimes, you know, um, you know, and those little wins are everything. Like those. So when I was in Montana, I kind of started to do a podcast with a couple of buddies of mine, and because of that, we were calling it small victories, right? Because with those little small victories throughout your everyday life, you know, you are going to be prepared for a big battle, for a big war, and you're going to be more prepared for it. I'm not going to say you're always going to be victorious at the end of it, but you're going to go into it way more prepared than you are, you know, coming into something blind. Um, yeah, people like, um, uh, and it, literally anything, right? Always challenge yourself constantly. Like we both play pool, so using like a pool analogy is like, so I shoot a lot now with my left hand,
Yeah.
right?
What? Do you
Um,
really? I actually haven't noticed that.
yeah, yeah. So I got to the point where I have and can break and run left-handed, right?
Wow.
Um, but the only reason is I hurt my shoulder a while ago, and I I couldn't play for like a month. But because we're pool junkies and
Right.
we can never just not play, I just started shooting left-handed, right? And you get fairly comfortable at it, right? Now, here's the craziest thing: I would also start shooting left-handed is because I suck, and I would leave myself bad shape, and then being lazy, instead of getting the bridge, I would just start shooting left-handed,
Ooh,
right?
yeah.
Um, so so uh, this one thing, when this clicked inside my brain and I accepted it in my mind, left hand became super simple. All it is do what you do with your right hand. That's all you got to do. Just do what you do with your right hand. So what I was doing was I would pay attention to whatever bridge I would make with my right hand, and I would just do it with my left hand. However I was holding the stick, and however, whatever grip I had and whatever motion I had, I would just do that with my left hand. So however uncomfortable that felt, as long as I just, in my brain, I would be like, just do what you do with your right hand. It it just became simple. It became, so now I can like draw controllably. I can yeah, I can shoot almost any shot right-handed as I can left-handed. The only thing that I need to work on is my left-handed jumps. That's the only thing that I really haven't accomplished yet.
Dang.
But other than that, yeah, other than that, left-handed isn't that awkward for me. but it's only because, going back to the toothbrush thing,
Mm-hmm.
like be uncomfortable, be okay with being uncomfortable. Eventually it's not going to be that uncomfortable.
Yeah.
you know People need to like grasp that concept, and like whenever life throws you a curveball, accept it as a challenge. Life's fun now, right? um
Absolutely.
Curveballs are fun. like like it's not that bad.
It's like a
Life is
challenge.
going to get, yeah, it's like a
Come
challenge.
at me.
Life's going to continue, right, yeah, come at me, right? um and a lot of people, going back into the bullying thing, parents, when life throws them curveballs, well, they start to shut down in ways that they really know how to shut down in. Instead
Right.
of taking that challenge, or instead of taking that curveball as a challenge and being like, okay, like, well, I didn't really foresee this, but whatever. Now I get to challenge myself, and now it's like a puzzle. Now I'm going to figure it out, right? Well, your child is going to catch on to all of that.
Yeah, exactly.
Like,
But some people
so
don't have
instead
those
of,
resources. Some kids don't have those resources, like those mental
right,
resources to try that.
right,
Because those parents
right,
don't do that.
because their parents don't know, right?
Right,
You can't teach a child something you don't know. You only teach a child what you know.
right.
So you can tell your child to like not be angry, and quit being angry, but then when they watch you
Get
um,
angry.
get
Furious.
angry, like someone cuts you off in traffic and you're yelling at that guy, your child's in the back, but then
Mm-hmm.
you're telling your kid to not be angry at things, but he's watching you all day long be angry. It's
Yeah.
like, well, because the other thing too is like people, they can't hide who they are forever.
No.
Like and if your child's with you all the time, because that's called parenting, like your
Yeah.
child's just there,
Right.
you can't control when the true you comes out. It just comes out. It's natural.
Right.
So like, you know it it's just interesting how it's like the child to the parent relationship, like somewhere in there, creates a victim and a bully because they're one and the same thing.
Right. Well, what happened?
Oh no, sorry, I just
Oh, no.
no, you're good.
No, totally one and the same thing. Like, I mean, I know that people have bursts of, just like emotion that comes out. And sometimes, no, you can't help that. But it's the way that you come back. It's the way that you retract that. Not just retract, but it's the way that you fix that certain, thing that you would just realize. It's the realization that you just done something wrong. And the way that you go about it and fix it, honestly, is the way that your child will see that, like if my dad, how he bursts out sometimes and is like, oh, I'm so angry at this, and like I'll go up and then he'll 1 second be like, man, I'm sorry that I reacted that way to you. I apologize. I did not mean to do that. I was just upset. And, like, I hope I can make things better the next time. And that is the way that, like that is the visual that your child will see, is seeing some sort of resolution to the problem. And
Yeah.
most parents don't have that, or not most, I guess I should say. I don't know the percentage of like good parents and bad parents out there, but just saying like the way that your personality sees, like when you had done something wrong, even if it was or was not wrong. Like if you felt, like you had intruded on that person's space or that person's time and you felt awful for it in some way, like in the way that you go about that to fix that problem is how they're going to see that.
Yeah. Right. Right. A lot of humans can't like, one, admit when they're wrong, uh, admit when they made a mistake, and what we have to accept is that we always make mistakes. That
Yeah.
is, this whole human experience is all
Yeah.
about making mistakes. You want to make mistakes because we're learning, right?
Exactly.
We are a learning species. We are a young species. So you're gonna fuck up. You're gonna make mistakes. It's okay. but to rectify that is, you know, that is like I think the ultimate goal is that you can realize. Now sometimes, because we all learn differently, so sometimes it takes longer than others. Sometimes you can realize it within that moment. Sometimes it might take you a day or two, a week or two, a couple years. I don't know. We all have different learning curves, and all situations are different. So, but when you understand, that, you made a mistake, and then you try to fix it. It doesn't matter if you made a mistake 10 years ago and then you realize it and then you go back and try to, maybe you can't totally fix it, but you can go back and try to just
Mend.
acknowledge
Yeah.
that, mend that, that you were acting a way that wasn't necessarily favorable, or a way that, you want it to come across, or whatever. Say you got in an argument 5 years ago, and, you and a friend, you and a brother, you and a sister, you, whatever the relationship is, parted ways from it. And then 5 years later, you realize, like, well, fuck, maybe I was being stupid in that,
Right.
and, it's never too late. Go and try to mend that. Go and try to fix it, or acknowledge it, you know, because if you don't, that's called regret, and that will eat you alive. That
100%.
that will, like, on your deathbed, that that will shine through your eyes, like 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 you can't hide it.
Well, it
You know what I
won't
mean?
even just like hurt you, but you don't understand how much it probably still hurts that other
Mm-hmm.
person, like
It's like the
it.
ripple effect,
Right.
right?
It could just be, you could think that, oh, it was just one moment in their life that they're probably going to forget. No, that person probably remembers that to this day and is still eating them alive. It is still eating them alive to
Right,
this
right,
day.
right.
And they can't say anything about it because they knew that they couldn't get anywhere with you and like back then.
Mm-hmm.
So what makes you think they're going to get through to you now, kind of thing?
Right.
So hopefully one day I mean, they learned how to cope with it themselves, but I mean, like in the future, if it eats you alive and you caused that and you didn't do anything to change that, obviously you're going to die knowing that, knowing that.
Right. Right. And, like, you know, what effect could that have, right? The ripple effect. Like, what if that argument, hurt that person, and now they're carrying it, and they just passed the buck, right? Now they're just dragging that through relationships, and now it's just like a disease now, right? It's like a virus that's spread.
Right.
And they, for them to fix it, they have to go to the root cause of it. But, like, the root cause comes in two pieces. You're the other piece. So it's
Right.
like, you know, um, so it's it's interesting to think that, say, like, say you're young and do that, and then, you split ways and do whatever, then you become a parent. Well, now, you're passing that buck, maybe, not intentionally, but you are somehow passing that buck to your child. You are instilling that cracked foundation now into your child, and now that child has to pass it on somewhere, somehow, because, like, you didn't resolve something that you should have,
Right.
or whatever. So, it becomes that weird ripple effect, and it just spans out. And now it's just like, you know, we see all this hate in the world. We see this violence, and we see this ugliness, and we see all of this stuff. And it's just like, what is the root cause of it all, right? If people could just deal with their bullshit understand that it's okay to be uncomfortable. Thrive in that water of uncomfortability, and uh, learn to navigate this life differently. Maybe we wouldn't have violence in the world.
Right.
Maybe we wouldn't have this ugliness. Maybe we wouldn't have, people doing these crazy things to each other. Because we fixed it at the root instead of, you know, uh, thinking that, well, I'll just deal with it later. We're like on this like weird like moral and like mental credit system where it's like, oh, I'll just deal with it later. Yeah,
Or they
well,
just like set it aside and they're like, okay, well, it's done for. I don't have to deal with it anymore.
right, right. So there's this fight or flight thing, right?
Right.
Where in a situation, if you choose fight, well, that is just that you're accepting the challenge to it, right?
Absolutely.
You are, it necessarily doesn't mean that you're going to go like fight it. It's
Yeah.
just like you're accepting the challenge of it.
Right.
And now that interaction or that engagement is, you get to understand it now, right?
Mm-hmm.
The flight mode is that you're just creating distance, right? So like you were saying, out of sight, out of mind.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you just created distance. You didn't deal with it. Like when
Exactly.
people become like addicted to things, right? Like, well, I used to smoke, for 15 years and then I quit it. But I always ask people, I'm like, so you want to have a smoke right now? And they're like, I just told you I quit. I'm like, yeah, but that doesn't mean anything. Like, why can't you have one? Well, if I have one, then I'll have another and I'll have another. I'm like, so you didn't quit smoking. You just created distance from it. Like, you didn't understand why you quit smoking. You just created distance from it.
Yes.
So you're still a slave to it. It's just that like now it's just out of sight, out of mind, and now you don't do it. But you really didn't overcome it, because if you overcome it, then you could have a smoke right now. You could smoke a half a cigarette, put it out, and then never want another cigarette for like another month, and maybe pick another. You know what I mean? You would be able to
Yeah.
control your interaction with it.
Yeah.
But people don't. People are funny. People are so funny.
People are like, okay, well, you know what? If this is going to be a problem for me, I'm just going to let it go. And the way that I think, and like I've even discussed this with you, like, like I like to drink, whatever, it's fun for me, but sometimes I go way too far. And like at those moments, it's like I even tell myself, I'm like, I don't want to give this up because I don't want it to control me. I don't want it to consume me for the rest of my life. I don't want to live in the fear of alcohol,
Right.
So waiting, 3 months, maybe not drinking and allowing myself to evaluate, okay, why do I want to drink? What are the issues? So why do I drink too much? Why do I let it go this far? Whatever. Asking all these questions and then coming back to it again and drinking again in a different mindset could be way healthier for me than just to continue on with it and just doing the same repetitive stuff over and over and over and over and over again. Like that, what is the definition of insanity? Doing the same
Right.
thing over and over again with trying, like, expecting different results. So it's difficult. It's very hard. And like, I do like to have, like, I do like to drink, but I know it can be an issue for me when I don't have the control over it, but I need to have the control over it because I'm not going to let it overcome me.
Right. Right. Yeah, I get people all the time, because I'm not like huge into drinking or whatever. So I get people all the time asking me, be like, "Why don't you drink? Were you an alcoholic? Was it a problem for you? Whatever." I'm like, no, not. I mean, technically, back in the day, yes. Dealing with all my, issues growing up, whatever. Like, I would like binge drink and do whatever, but. But I don't drink because I don't use it as a vice. You know what I mean? I'll have a couple drinks, if I'm out being social and it's in the correct setting, and I'm not, I'm out to just to have, a couple drinks to let loose a bit, chill, talk with some friends and do whatever. But at the same time, I don't need that either to do that. You know what I mean? I I use it differently, right?
Yeah.
I choose when to use it. It doesn't choose when it uses me.
Yeah.
So like when people get on these like vices and these coping mechanisms and these whatever, the true root of it, like going back to the smoking thing, why people smoke, it's like well, it I ask people all the time, right? Well, why did you quit smoking? A lot of times it's health reason. It got too expensive. It was, dirty, stinky or whatever. It's never, which in my opinion is the correct answers or the more accurate answers. It's never, you know, I I don't deal well in stressful situations. I um, you know, foundation level uh, uh, burdens, right?
Yes.
Like, like a once you like dive into yourself and you start to figure yourself out and why you do things, like all of the bullshit farther down the line kind of just dissipates. So so you might smoke for a while, but then if you start diving in yourself and start fixing your foundations better, like uh you will start to find yourself smoking less, just
Yeah.
naturally. That's just what it, what I mean? You will find yourself eating more healthy food and less fast food. You will find yourself making better decisions without really thinking about it because you're fixing, the hardest thing to do for people is to light yourself on fire. That's like the hardest thing for people to do.
Right.
But it's just do it, right? And the crazy thing is, like, you're the only one holding the match. So technically, you can only do it. So light yourself on fire, let everything burn off. I mean, that time is really going to suck, right? like, like imagine lighting yourself physically on fire and waiting for yourself to burn out, right? That's
Yeah.
probably the most painful thing ever. It's very
Hmm.
difficult. But once those ashes are sitting there, sift through them. Whatever is remaining are your foundation blocks. Take those blocks and get rid of the ones you don't like, keep the ones you do, and start building a more accurate you.
Right.
And the crazy thing is don't do it just once. Build something that you kind of like and then light it on fire again. Burn it
Absolutely.
down. Keep building. Burn it down. Keep building. And do that your entire life
Right.
because it never ends.
Never.
Now, each time you light yourself on fire after that, it'll probably burn less and less and less. But you will always catch something on fire. Always. Because there's always some bullshit on something of you, right? That's just
Well,
how life is.
I mean, you meet different people every day. And sometimes, like, even if you don't realize it, you're influenced by some of those people that you meet every day. Sometimes you carry on some of the things that, the people that you meet do or say. And it's something like, you may not like it at the time, but it seems cool at the moment. But later on in life, like you're like, okay, this is not fun anymore. Like, I don't know why I'm doing this anymore,
Right. Yeah.
Like, and
Right.
there's so
Right.
many different people in the world that you learn from every individual person that you meet, regardless if you want to or not. And though maybe some of those are some of the things that you light on fire. I mean, it could be good for you at that time of your life, at that point in your life, but later on down the road, it may or may not be good for you. And that's fine. That's totally fine.
Right. Right. It's okay. It's okay. And if things get too out of control, like you should understand that you have people around you that, you know, are there to help you put out some of that fire.
Yeah.
Like, but for the most part, controllably light yourself on fire, right? I mean, if you're super adventurous, you can light your whole existence on fire and
You
just
can
see what
cause the
happens.
California
Right,
wildfires.
right. And just see what happens. You know what I mean? Like but that's if you're super just adventurous. But if
Right.
not, you can control it, right? Contain it.
Right.
Um, yeah, I think a lot of people just, that's what they fear. The truest enemy is you.
Right.
Like every enemy that you have on the outside is really you just being a coward and not being able to face or challenge the truest enemy, which is yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Because that enemy you will never beat. You can only even out, right?
Right.
We both play pool. So when you play the ghost, you can never beat the ghost.
Right.
You can always just tie with the ghost. So it's like insane how, because in people's minds, like the whole winning and losing aspect is, well, if I can't win, I don't want to participate. But it's like you're missing the entire purpose of the experience. Because you're too busy about winning and losing.
Right.
And like in life, parents, it's like, don't worry about winning and losing. Now you have a child, so now you have to be like far better and push yourself beyond your boundaries now to show your child like what their limits are. I read this saying one time. So I have like maybe like 4 or 5 quotes that like stick with me through life. One is, when someone tells you you can't do something, they're not showing you your limits. They're showing you their limits.
Yes.
And that's so true. That is so true.
It's a projection, and like obviously you're trying to challenge yourself to do that. You're trying to challenge yourself in order to get there, to make that your goal. But somebody shoots you down, they're like, okay, well, you can't get there. Like, don't do that. Whatever, this and that. That's just them showing their lack of interest or their lack of, influence to get there. Their lack of motivation. And that can be very, influential in some people. Like, there was a point, like I know that there was a point in my life too where like I had so many goals, but so many people told me that, you can't get there, you can't get there. But I was like, there was some that I listened to because like I really valued some of these people in my life, but there were some that I never did, because I was like, okay, well, who are you to me? Like, well, I don't know you. Like, why would you tell me that? You don't know me. But some of the most influential people can really cause a lot of limits in your life, can put those roadblocks in there for you. And sometimes later on in life, you have to break down those walls that they put up for you. Even though you don't know that they directly did that to you, not like directly, but like, you don't know that they actually put that there for you. Like, I know I can get anywhere I want to be. If I put my mind to it, I will get there. And same with everybody on this entire planet. That should be the same way. But we live with so many people. We're surrounded by so many people that so many people can influence us, especially people, like an empath being me. Like, I just want to connect with people. I just want to, talk with people. I just really like respect people's opinions and where they've been and what they're going through. And sometimes that can really affect an opinion completely. But sometimes it can really take over your life.
This is for the lost ones, the ones suffering from exhaustion, life beating you down so you still play cautious. I need you to search deep inside of your conscience. Unleash whatever monsters are keeping you from your progress. I know that you gon' find a way, never give up. Tomorrow could be the brightest day. Follow the light, and I promise you gon' find a way. I know that you gon' find your way.